Hello and welcome. I'm Devika Devan and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at our top headlines. Ukraine has said that Russia launched 805 drones and 13 missiles overnight. An infant was amongst 3 killed and 18 injured in strikes that set scores of buildings on fire, including the main government building in Kyiv. Meanwhile, Ukraine struck Russia's Druzhba oil pipeline in Bryansk. A Thai tycoon has taken office as Prime Minister after receiving a royal endorsement from the King during a ceremony at his Bumje Thai party headquarters in Bangkok. US has presented Hamas with a new set of principles for a comprehensive agreement via Israeli negotiator Gershon Baskin. According to reports, the outline was delivered through US President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff. Hamas has stated that it is open to a deal that ends the war, ends Israeli presence in Gaza, and allows full aid access. Protesters in Jerusalem marched towards Prime Minister Netanyahu's residence, calling for a prisoner swap deal with Hamas. Thousands also gathered at Hostet Square in Tel Aviv, urging the release of Israelis still held in Gaza. These protests come hours after families of captives warned the army chief that plans to occupy Gaza City will not bring the hostages back. Donald Trump's trade advisor Peter Navarro has slammed Elon Musk after his posts accused India of profiteering from Russian oil were fact-checked on X. Navarro claimed India's imports funded Moscow's war machine, but Musk's platform flagged that India's purchases are for energy security and don't violate sanctions. X community notes also highlighted US imports from Russia, calling Navarro's claims hypocritical. US President Donald Trump has renewed threats to deploy the National Guard to Chicago. He shared an image on Truth Social depicting the city under attack and wrote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." The new head of US Military Central Command, Admiral Bragg Cooper, has concluded his first visit to Israel in the role. The Israeli military said the trip focused on operational cooperation, regional stability, and joint efforts to address challenges and threats. Cooper, appointed in early August, now leads CENTCOM, the US command responsible for the Middle East. Aryna Sabalenka retains the US Open title, clinching the 4th Grand Slam title of her career. The Belarusian world #1 sweeps aside Amanda Anisimova, beating the American after the nail-biting 8-week tournament in New York City. Our top focus: Ukraine's Air Force has said that Russia launched 805 drones and 13 missiles on Ukraine overnight. An infant was amongst the 3 people who died during Russia's overnight attacks on Kyiv. Reportedly, 18 others were also injured in the strikes. Scores of buildings in the capital, including the seat of the government, was set ablaze. Ukraine's Prime Minister said that this was the first time that the main building of the Ukrainian government was damaged by a Russian strike. She further added that firefighters were working to extinguish the blaze. Meanwhile, Ukraine has attacked the Druzhba oil pipeline in Russia's Bryansk region, according to the commander of Ukraine's drone forces. The transit pipeline supplies Russian oil to Hungary and Slovakia. The commander of the drone forces said that comprehensive fire damage was inflicted on the pipeline. Professor Rohan Gunaratna, international security expert, joins us on the broadcast. Professor Gunaratna, I want to understand from your perspective, where do you see the war heading? Because there is currently a stalemate as far as talks are concerned.
Devika, although there are talks between the United States and Russia to resolve this war, what we have seen is that the Russians have launched attack that is going to escalate the conflict because, as you rightly said, 800 drones, more than 10 missiles it has had a profound impact on Kiev. One of the attacks damaged the cabinet of ministers office very significantly, that entire building. So obviously the Ukrainians are going to respond by attacking Russian targets, and it is very possible that they may also attack Moscow. So what is important for everyone to understand is that there must be more efforts at bringing a negotiated settlement to this conflict. Otherwise, more civilians will die, and also more high-rise buildings will be attacked. For the first time, we have seen targeted attacks against high-rise buildings, especially government buildings. Of course, the civilians also have perished in this latest attack, and it is likely to repeat in the coming days and coming weeks and coming months unless there is a swift move towards dialogue and discussion to resolve this conflict.
But Professor Gunaratna, a lot of emphasis has been laid on increasing the sanctions on Russia at this point in time. If that methodology has not worked in the past 3 years, why will it work now?
Sanctions itself is not having an impact on Russia because the Russians are still able to build their military capabilities with their partners and to fight back. So I think that the world needs to think of a scenario beyond the sanctions. I mean, so there have been sanctions against Iran, but Iran has been building a nuclear capability. So you can see that sanctions itself is insufficient. But in the case of Russia, because President Trump and President Putin has developed a relationship, they met in Alaska, and now they are planning to meet again, possibly in Moscow. I think there should be more focus and more emphasis in moving towards a negotiated settlement because there are no real winners in this war. Both parties have suffered and both parties will continue to suffer unless there is a resolution to this dispute.
Right, Professor Gunaratna, thank you so much for joining us on NewsX World with that perspective. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's senior trade advisor, Peter Navarro, has made controversial remarks accusing India of profiting from Russian oil imports and aiding Russia's war efforts. His claims, posted on social media platform X, were quickly fact-checked by a community note citing credible sources, clarifying that India's energy imports are driven by national security needs and do not breach international sanctions. Navarro responded angrily, dismissing the fact-check as propaganda and criticized Elon Musk for allowing it on the platform. Despite political rhetoric, both nations continue to emphasize their strategic partnership. Dr. Satoru Nagao with us on the broadcast. Dr. Nagao, I have to understand from you, very interesting developments taking place as far as US and India are also concerned. So we've seen a slight shift as far as tonality between the two nations is concerned. But amidst that, it seems Peter Navarro wants to continue playing bad cop. He's sticking to the initial narrative put out by the US that India is responsible for Russia's war. However, he's now been fact-checked on social media as well. What do you make of these developments?
In this case, the important thing is negotiation style of the Trump administration. Negotiation of the Trump administration is they are seeking the bilateral negotiation to deal by using intimidation. In case of the intimidation, fact or not is not the matter. In this, important thing is just making pressure or making the negotiation partner to upset. So that's why the fact, if the fact check is the system to check the remarks of the other intimidation, in this case, they can find many baseless opinion. One of the typical examples, when the Trump administration talked with Zelensky, of the president of the Ukraine, they said Zelensky is dictator. But the next stage journalist asked President Trump, is Zelensky dictator? Who you decide to meet him today? So is this right? President Trump's response is, did I say that? I don't think so.
Okay.
So that's the pattern of the negotiation style of the Trump administration. So that's why when there is a fact test, of course, there is a possibility it is baseless. But at the same time, this is not matter for the Trump administration. This is just making pressure. Deal is matter, negotiation is matter, fact or not is not matter. But that is the style, I think.
Okay, interesting. But at the same time, Dr. Nagao, is it critical for the US administration to also be asked repeatedly as far as their trade with Russia is concerned or Europe's trade with Russia is concerned?
Yes, this is reputation itself is not so big matter for the Trump administration, I think, because they are seeking the deal, and the deal is matter. Other thing is small thing for them. So that's why this is the style. So again, against Japan, against South Korea, against your EU, against British, against South Africa, every time same pattern we can find. When they use intimidation, this is not comfortable, of course. But after the deal has happened, we remember that that was just an intimidation, baseless one, meaning content is not the matter. So that's why Trump administration do not care about reputation, about intimidation. Intimidation is just intimidation. But in this case, we should care about who said that. This is Peter Navarro, not President Trump. President Trump himself tried to use intimidation in many cases, but they try to, in this, intimidation itself is prepared by careful manner, even if the baseless fact. So that's why they are carefully check the rank who say that. So now Peter Navarro said this means that this is lower intimidation compared with the President Trump's remark. If the President Trump says same thing, this is more bigger pressure they believe, I guess. So that's why this is the pattern we should think. But at the same time, indeed, even if this remark is baseless, they prepare this careful manner.
Right, absolutely. Mr. Nagao, stay on with us as we shift our focus from the US to Thailand, where Thai tycoon Anutin Charnvirakul has taken office today as Prime Minister following endorsement by the King. The royal command was read at Anutin's Bumje Thai Party headquarters in Bangkok. The 58-year-old Anutin has previously served as Deputy Prime Minister, Interior Minister and Health Minister and is best known for leading Thailand's 2022 cannabis decriminalization. He becomes the kingdom's third leader in 2 years, taking power with coalition backing that requires parliament to be dissolved within 4 months for fresh elections. Anutin replaces the populist Pheu Thai Party, which was held to the top office since 2023 after their heiress was removed by court orders last month. Dr. Satura Nagao with us on the broadcast. Dr. Nagao, of course, a lot of political turmoil continues in Thailand, but in your assessment, does this fresh position now signal any sort of stability?
Stability is it relies on the definition, because in case of Thai politics, two groups compete each other and go and return, they are changing to be the ruling party or opposition party, ruling party, opposition party. So that's why who will create a stable situation is matter of concern. But at the same time, even if such kind of the political changes, so repeated political change, Thailand is continuing as a stable country. That is also true. So that's why the stable or not is a little bit controversial in case of Thailand. But anyway, the current new prime minister will continue the next 4 months. But because of the former prime minister Paetong Tan failed to negotiate with Cambodia, and so that's why she need to resign. And so successor could be the opposition side, so not came from the Paetongtarn's successor. So then that has really happened. Interesting is the new Prime Minister, Anuchin Chewi-Rakun, is in the past he was worked under the Thaksin side. Paetongtarn's the daughter of the Thaksin, so Thaksin side is a different side, now opposition side. But a new prime minister, which is rival of the Thaksin side, is worked under the Thaksin in the past, is interesting thing. So relation between the Thaksin side and the new prime minister side is not good, but still they know each other is one of the opening door to cooperate. So that could happen. So that's why the temporary he sworn in as a prime minister on next only 4 months. But at the same time, he tried to arrange something stable government. That is also true, I believe. Thank you.
Right, absolutely. Dr. Nagao, stay on with us as we speak. Breaking developments taking place. We've been informed that the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has announced his intention to resign, according to national broadcaster NHK. The move comes just a day before the ruling Liberal Democratic Party was set to decide on holding an extraordinary presidential election. Ishiba says his decision is aimed at preventing deeper divisions within the party as it navigates a critical leadership moment. Dr. Satoru Nagao with us on the broadcast. Dr. Nagao, your first reaction to this decision by the Japanese PM?
And no one can resist natural flow of the river, I think. Because natural flow river, and this is not the river, of course, but I want to say that when the river flow, if someone try to resist flow of the water, but it is impossible to resist. So in this case, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba lost both of the two parliamentary elections, upper house and lower house. This means that Japanese people did not support him. So this is more than the national survey because this is real election. So that's why it is natural he resigned the prime minister and leader of the ruling party. But he resisted for a long time. That's why he tried to resist the flow of the river. But the river's flow is very strong always and no one can resist it. So finally he resigned. But the view from the policy he implemented, and this Ishiba was rival against Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So supporter of the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe strongly dislike him, Ishiba. So that's why this has a big conflict in the ruling party LDP. So that's why currently, if the Prime Minister Ishiba decides to resign, there's a possibility that Prime Minister Abe's supporter will regain the power to decide something. But still, it relies on the situation inside of the ruling party. Because some certain number of the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe supporter has already left from the ruling party LDP, and they start to support new right-wing opposition parties, National Democratic Party or Sansei Party. So that's why if these opposition party continue to get the support from the people, if such kind of things happen, LDP cannot recover the popularity. But still, in Japan, LDP is stable, people see. Stable means that good image. So that's why there's another possibility is LDP will regain the support from the former Abe supporters and the traditional LDP supporters, and they will be the strong ruling party again. That is another scenario, and most of the LDP supporters wish this scenario to be real.
Interesting. But at the same time, Dr. Nagao, what really becomes of Japan's politics in the next few weeks?
Next few weeks is the most important thing. Who will be the leader of this ruling party, LDP, Liberal Democratic Party? That will be the next matter. Indeed, Sanae Takachi, if she is hawkish and right-wing type, but right-wing people strongly support her, especially the PM Abe supporter right-wing, so that's why they support her. So there is a possibility she will be the prime minister. But at the same time, because of the hawkish right-wing stance, some certain number of the people in the LDP dislike this stance itself. So that's why this is competition. There is a possibility the other side also prepare the candidate. In this case, who will be the leader of this liberal or middle supporter of the LDP? That will be matter. Junichiro Koizumi could be the one of the candidates, but in the LDP's very, very conservative stance, he is too young. It is 48, so this is too young in Japanese ruling party definition. Other parties, Sansei Party, the National Democratic Party, these opposition party accept the younger generation, but not the LDP. LDP, 70 years old is common. So that's why the 40 years, this means that's very difficult. So more senior guys, they are searching. But who is the best is very controversial because it is not easy to find a popular politician in the LDP against Sanae Takachi. So that's why who will be the leader of the LDP will be the big matter. Election will happen and inside of the LDP and LDP supporters, but we cannot see who will be the number one leader of the LDP just now.
Right, absolutely, Dr. Nagao. Thank you so much for staying on with us on that breaking development, but we shift our focus to other news. South Korea says the US has released a video showing the arrest of Korean workers and has called it regrettable, raising diplomatic tensions just days after a summit between the two nations' leaders. The footage released by US immigration officials showed hundreds of workers shackled at the wrists, waist, and ankles. The operation involved over 475 arrests, in which more than 300 of them were Korean nationals. Seoul has expressed concern and warned that it could damage bilateral trust and affect ongoing trade talks. President Trump defended the move, while South Korean officials are now pushing for swift resolution and accountability. That's the latest that we're tracking for our viewers from the United States of America. South Korea has now slammed the US after it released a video showing the arrest of Korean workers and has called that video regrettable. South Korea has now raised diplomatic tensions just days after a summit between the two nations' leaders. The footage that has been released by US immigration officials has shown hundreds of workers shackled at the wrists, waist, and ankles. Dr. Sanjay Kumar, journalist at the Korea Herald, joins us on the broadcast. Dr. Kumar, interesting developments taking place between America and South Korea. There's a large operation that has been conducted by the United States of America in which majority of the people who've been arrested are of South Korean origin. How exactly is South Korea now hoping to resolve this latest problem?
Well, the South Korean Foreign Ministry has designated the Washington DC's consulate general to be on ground there, on site there with an emergency response. All-time response system has been channelized there, and they have met also the consular officers. They have met also the detainees, and they were found in not bad conditions. Everything was okay. None of them had any health conditions or like deteriorating health conditions. But concerns are growing not only in the political circles in Korea, but also among the people here in South Korea, because the manner in which those had been arrested, it looked like not less than a war front military style of action. And that has sent huge shock waves, because in Korea, being in alliance with United States, and even Hyundai, which has promised a few years back almost $21.5 billion in Korea. Recently, President Lee Jae-myung and President Trump has agreed to invest almost $500 billion in the US. So these things are sending a huge shockwaves to many in Korea, because they are considering, I mean, the South Koreans are considering that why it is happening to us. We are going there to invest. We want to contribute to the American economy, and we are with Trump spirit. And if this is happening, then it may affect some initiatives in coming months, such as MASGA, like make American shipbuilding great again kind of things. So they are not ready to accept this kind of action. But because of the federal law structure and the law enforcement things, there are some technicalities of visa issues. For example, ideally, those who have been detained, no matter they were working on the ground with visa, but their visas were not proper visa. That is where the technicality lies right now. Ideally, they should be they should have received H1B or H2B, or there are some visas like E4 category, but none of those visas were used by the detainees, and that is making a huge concern, because they were on B1, B2, or ESTA visa. So, and that visas are not, with that visas, you are not allowed to work on the ground and long-term or even short-term employment. That is solely based for like short-term meetings and some business meetings and tourism. So because of that, it has become a technical issues. But South Koreans here are hoping that all these detainees must be at least released and sent back to Korea, I mean their home country, as soon as possible. Otherwise, it is going to be a big political issue in South Korea. And also, diplomatic concerns also are being raised right now.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with that perspective. Meanwhile, in more news from the US, several thousand protesters took to the streets of Washington, D.C., demanding President Donald Trump end the deployment of the National Guard troops in the capital. The We Are All DC march included undocumented immigrants and supporters of Palestinian statehood who chanted slogans against Trump and carried posters calling for his removal. Church bells rang in solidarity as the crowd passed near the White House. Trump deployed troops claiming they were needed to restore law and order and place the Metropolitan Police under federal control, including ICE personnel. Critics have called this federal move an overreach. The protest comes as Trump also threatens to use his newly rebranded Department of War in other Democratic-led cities, including Chicago. Let's listen in.
I'm here because I'm disgusted with what's going on in our city, and we're a group of social workers really working really hard to bring peace and strength to families and to kids and to immigrants, and we feel like the whole city is being undermined. We don't want this. We don't need this. We want to tell them to get out of our city. We got this.
We're here because we care about our families and what's happening in neighborhoods across this nation. We're social workers united for justice, and we're social workers united for mental health and health, for the well-being of all of our communities. And what we're seeing coming from D.C. is not representative of who we are as a country. We're a country who is in it together to protect our families and the well-being of all of our...
I'm here to protest the occupation of D.C. We need to free D.C. D.C. needs to be a state, needs to be the 51st state here in the Union.
I'm a DC resident, I'm a DCPS teacher. I'm seeing the effects on my community. My students are terrified to come to school. My students' families are afraid to leave their house because of ICE. And nobody should have to live like this. DC does not want this, and it's time for the police occupation to end.
There's self-rule, home rule, and we can take care of our stuff without having to have the National Guard come in and tell us what to do, or the president, never mind. So we've been managing it pretty well. Not as great, but it's we don't need President Trump in the National.
And that's all that we have time for. We will continue to bring you more updates from around the world on the other side. Stay tuned.